Hello and welcome to Waistlines with me, Richard Wheatley, where we dive deep below the headlines, down to the junk where all the fun stuff happens, for a roundup of all the weirdest news of the week. Let's start by asking, who ate all the pies? A van full of Michelin star pies, destined for a York Christmas market, was stolen last Sunday. 2,500 pies worth £25,000 are now presumably headed for a very posh black market restaurant alongside the 22 tonnes of premium cheddar, which was also stolen last month. Tommy Banks, the bereft chef, seemed to be under the impression that these were van thieves and the pies were stolen by accident. He asked on social media for the thieves to take the pies to a community centre or anything to make sure the pies just got eaten. But police have now found the van abandoned with no pies, leaving me to assume that this was genuinely the most Yorkshire heist of all time. Moving on. Monday saw the end of a 3-day standoff between police and a bear in a Japanese supermarket. The shop had been evacuated on Saturday after the bear wandered in and injured an employee. The bear apparently spent the weekend gorging itself on the meat aisle, which seems like the obvious thing to me for it to do, or possibly not, because authorities apparently had no idea where in the supermarket the bear actually was, even bringing in a drone to scan for the bear. They clearly don't know how you should go about a bear hunt. You go through the grass swish swish, through the mud squelch squelch, across the river splash splash, into the cave step step, and then you identify the bear by feeling its wet nose. Everyone knows that. Any child could tell you that. And that might actually be the problem, because Japan has seen a sharp rise in urban bear sightings, and one theory is that with fewer babies being born, the yells and cries of children, which would normally scare off the bears, haven't. And that sounds less like a viable theory and more like a guilt trip from some parents who really want to be grandparents. Look, son, I know you're having fun and playing the field, but if you don't give your mother and me a grandchild sometime soon, you are going to trigger the bear apocalypse. Next up, the Turner Prize was announced this week. It went to someone who put a giant napkin on top of a car. So we can happily ignore that one, and focus instead on the arguably superior art competition, the Turnip Prize. Held every year by a Somerset pub, it's a contest inspired by the 1999 Turner Prize winning My Bed from Tracey Emin. It goes to the unique artwork with the least amount of effort, but regularly comes down to a pun art. Winners over the years include a bowl full of jelly with a toy dog resting on top called Collywobbles, building blocks in the shapes of the letters I and T called Brexit, and my personal favourite, a pair of knickers with a hole burnt in the front called Bushfire Down Under. This year's finalists included a flip-flop with the words Post Office Sandal written on it, called Post Office Sandal, the truly lazy balloon called Inflation, and the winner, a crumpled up shirt with thumbtacks in the sleeves called Tax Increases. Up next, a man who unwrapped a completely smooth Mars bar has received £2 in compensation from Mars Wrigley. A photo posted by Harry Seeger got thousands of likes on the brilliantly named Dull Men's Club Facebook group. Some of the dull men were even able to explain the process which normally gives Mars bars their distinctive ripple shape on the top, which must have failed on this particular occasion. It involves a machine called an enrover, which is like a giant chocolate waterfall followed by a blast of wind and has to be an absolute nightmare to keep clean from all the spoilt rich kids with golden tickets determined to have a workplace accident. Finally this week, I just want to run through a few of the stories which we haven't had time for. The funeral director who's looking for a tandem hearse, that's a hearse powered by tandem bikes, because the one she planned to use is currently in for repairs. The world's oldest known wild bird, a 74-year-old albatross called Wisden, has laid an egg. Meanwhile, after 8 years without an egg from a zoo's breeding pair of penguins, they finally worked out that Maggie was male. Suspicions were only raised when Maggie made the first move on the male penguin. And the first UK TikTok Awards took place in Manchester this week. Among the winners, a man who films himself cleaning swimming pools who won Best Quality Content. And that will do it for this week. If you want to know any more about any of the stories, check out the links in the description below, which include a link to the Friday Week, a topical quiz that I run on Riverside Radio. This week my guests were comedians Susan Kitcat and Martin Dixon. Martin is even a chocolate hobbyist who has inside knowledge on the Mars bar story. This is a brand new, light-hearted news channel, and so if you have enjoyed this, please do like, share and subscribe. If you haven't enjoyed it, then well done on getting the whole way through this video. Please leave any feedback in the comments below. But until next time, goodbye.